So we are going to talk about the scores for every non-NCAA bowl game, or not FBS scratch but a bowl game score. We're here to talk about all the scores for the non-college playoff bowl games. The final one just ended recently today, so we're going to talk about some of the first one, the cricket celebration bowl. South Korea State be pre-winning 43, and then maybe they defeat Army 17-16, and Army needs everybody from Korean trophy that they play for. They have the trophy with the Navy, Army, and Air Force battle for a trophy. And Navy and Army are American in football. They're football members. They're normally in Patriot, but they're football members, but they count as a non-conference. And then we have, and then, yep, so, I'm going to Washington, 30-10 over Wayne State. Then we have Minnesota State, 17-0 Troy. And then, all of them, and that was in the Vegas versus to that in the tier roll, so that's best at meaning. All of them in unless it'll be so far of the American 2014. And South Korea State pre-winning. That's striking the cricket ratio. What? And 4 teams. And cricket ratio, which is this, the which is South Korea State. And they don't have a conference championship like that. This flag has a conference championship like that. FBS teams do. You know, like 2 teams. You know, best teams. You know, and they used to do the SWAC East, SWAC West. 2 divisions. FBS coaches in this band. They wanted the 2 best teams, not like sometimes like a little bit more lopsided with the 2 divisions. And you have a little more lopsided because, one division might be a little stronger than the other. Like to say like 2 or 3 of the top teams in one division, and then it has the 4th best team. And Wayne State all the booked up volleyball. Sponsored volleyball sponsored booked up. It was sponsored before by like Jimmy Kimmel, Gronk, the Sweet Peach there, but no, they're not anymore. It's kind of lost its like luster. Volleyball has so. The volleyball is it's gonna be no more than just in after this year. So after this season, after 2025 football season, that 2025 bowl game was their final one. We see is the conference championship team loser of the Mountain West is Wayne State. Washington is on Big 10. Trey's on the Sun Belt. Jacksonville State South Conference USA. And the 60 Avengers Bowl. West by South Alabama. Louisiana the Sun. Fell the Delaware out their first year in FBS. May 13. Delaware is Delaware, and the 2 new teams, Delaware and Kansas State, you're only able to make it to bowl games. You have to resign of 6 and 6 or higher teams to fill out the bowl games, and there was with every team, and even with Notre Dame. Before Notre Dame opted out, and then Iowa State and Kansas State opted out as well. But those 2 teams opted out. They were still going to make it regardless. Even if all those 3 teams played in the bowl games. So, but that were in 23 the X-Box Bowl. Missouri, which replaces the Bahamas Bowl. It's at Frisco at the Star Dallas Cowboys practice facility in Frisco, Texas. They have like a 10,000 some odd, like 10,000 UCC. And they have like college football and like college football games. They have their practices there for fans to watch. They have training camp there, practices there, and then they have what else do they got? They got you might have some like high school games there and stuff like that. You know, and this place is the Bahamas. It was like two teams in the Bahamas that were like not like the best teams in the leagues. You know, they might have been like the second, third place team in like the MAC Conference USA. And for like non-conference, they might have been on ESPN Plus a lot of time. It might have been like on like ESPN Plus a lot of time. In conference, they might have been somewhat on ESPN Plus, and then until they were featured on like like the MAC was featured like midweek. So might have been on ESPN. Or you were like sometimes, sorry, anyways, some feature like non-conference or like in ESPN you would have like a lot of mid-major schools. Same with like CB Sports Network. You have like Kansas State games, something like that. So yeah, we got anyways, Arizona State all of a sudden, but Missouri gets the coverage to say 3-24. Then Alabama went for Oklahoma in the SEC rematch, 34-24 on the college football first round. And then Myrtle Beach Bowl, Western Michigan Coastal Carolina. They defeated hosted by Coastal Carolina University. Western Michigan on the mat defeated Kansas State out of the coverage 41-6. NC State defeated Memphis. In Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. In the Gasparilla Bowl. It's about to be Union Mortgage, so we're Raymond James team. While the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they won 31-7 in CCLAC. Memphis American in the quadruple play first round, and that was on the 19th, 23rd December. Oregon beat Madison 51-34. Ole Miss defeat Tulane 41-10. And Miami defeat Texas 10-3. And then on the 22nd, Washington State defeat Utah State in the famous 8-2 balls 34-1. On Tuesday, December 23rd, in the famous 8-2 ball, sponsored with Boise State. And its famous 8-2 was been sponsored for a while. And the Boca Raton Bowl this year is sponsored by Bush's Beans. And Bush's book is actually the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl beans. Because the winner might get like a bean stamped on them, or on the trophy itself. And there have been beans in it, the Bush's Beans in there. And legal ones 27-22 2. And then Western Kentucky 27-16 or Service in the Orange Bowl. And the Caesar Superdome. And it's hosted by New Orleans Saints. And New Orleans is sponsored. And it's hosted by New Orleans Saints. It's a Caesar Superdome. New Orleans Saints. And that's kind of fitting if it's in New Orleans, the Superdome. And then Ohio. And that's another Western Kentucky occurs today. Service of the Sun. And two was in the map. We goes on the ACC. And Ohio would have Mac defeated UNLV out of the Mountain West with Dan Mullen as the coach. He was he was a former ESPN big football announcer, for college football. And he went back and he got a job opportunity, so he's like, I'm gonna take it at UNLV. And he scores Covey Fresco Bowl. In the Scrooge Coffee Fresco Bowl. And Scrooge Coffee is sponsored for Fresco. And this was the original and hosted at Fresco at the start, but they hosted 2 now. And then in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, the only sporting event on New Christmas Eve, Hawaii defeats California 35-31. Sponsored by Sheridan, that's the white one. And on 26th, there's no bowl games Christmas Day. And the day after 26th, Minnesota defeated Mexico in a rain at Chase Field when they were not Diamondbacks. There's a few bowl games. That's one of 3 at MLB stadiums. Minnesota's out of the Big Ten. Mexico's out of Conference USA. And then Northwestern and the Game Sports Bowl hosted. There's some at NFL stadiums, and this one was by the Detroit Lions in Detroit, Michigan. It's at Ford Field. And the Game Sports Bowl Northwestern wins 34-7 over Central Michigan. And some of these are just pure sponsorships. The bowl might change. The bowl game name might change. Depending on the Game Sports Bowl. Its name is Game of Sports. Is really in the right bowl. Some of them are like the Hawaii Bowl, like the Frisco Bowl, like the Boca Raton Bowl. Like the Myrtle Beach Bowl doesn't really have a sponsor name. Visit Myrtle Beach, I guess. It's like some of them are just pure sponsor names, but here's what it is. And then school. And then you have this First Responder Bowl, sponsored by Circle in Florida Golf Conference. Say UTSA of the American. And UTSA wins 57-20. And the Pop Tarts Bowl. This Pop Tarts Bowl is a big bowl for the bowl games. One of the big bowl games that's not part of the college football playoff. This is one of them. This is one of the big ones. And with featuring ranked teams. Featuring 2 ranked teams. This and then she's at Citrus Bowl. These ones that feature 2 ranked teams that are all college football playoff teams. And BYU won 20 if BYU would have made the college football playoff after all. There's not 5 automatic qualifiers. And BYU won 25-20 if there wasn't automatic qualifiers rule. And BYU wins 25-21 or 22 for Number 8, and this is a big one. Another one featuring a ranked team. Number 19, Virginia defeated Missouri 13-7. And the Texas there did one. Hosted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars team ranks them so far. And the Kingers Texas at our NRG Stadium, which home with Houston Texans. And that's basically like every far for Houston and the Houston Cougars travel. Say that we can get there just like a few hours prior to kickoff. They don't have to stay in hotels. They can literally bus back to campus the same day. It might be a little bit later at night. But they can literally bus back to campus. So literally, it's like a win-win. That's a win for Houston Cougars, and they get the win too. 30-35. Where else? University of Houston. Where else? The Cambridge, Texas Bowl. It's a Texas Bowl. Sponsored Cambridge. And then New Mexico sponsored Atlanta. And it features American Conference Championship losers. North Texas. 29-47 San Diego State out of the Mountain West. And you obviously know Georgia Tech's out of the ACC. And then Louis out of the Big 12. I see no Michigan is in the ACC. Missouri's in the SEC now. Originally the SEC. Or in the Big 12. But no, Missouri. No. SC was not. SC. Houston, I wasn't American. They moved to the Big 12 years ago. Pittsburgh. Let me see versus East Grand out there. And so far it's been the Power Conference seems winning. But no, not in this case. No, not too well. So it's been a cool ball in East Carolina. 12 wins. 23-17 over Pittsburgh. Two teams with Penn State with a little bit of struggle in the year because they had their strong quarterback go down. Went out with injury. But then they had their backup come in. It looked like a down year for Penn State because it's still. But then when I had to win one D2 to keep eligibility alive. And they're in the last breath to keep eligibility alive. And then they won in the bowl game. And Clemson was not bad, but it was winning. They were better, like in their prime, in their peak, at their peak, Clemson was a better team, and they weren't, and they are now, you can see it. But Penn State of the Big Ten defeated Clemson. You see at the Big Members pinstripe, Spencer at Big Members, and that's it. The Yankees team, the New York Yankees, and then in the Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts, Army out of the American defeated. UConn used to be in the American. UConn used to be in the American. They were in the Big East and they moved to the American for all their sports. But then they moved back to the American. Or they moved back. Or they moved to the American. Or in the Big East, they moved to American. They moved back to the Big East for all sports. And then they were that. And then they moved to FBS independent football. And Army won 41-16. Snoop Dogg, Arizona Bowl, Fresno State, Alabama, Vietnam, Alabama, 18-3. And then in the J-Lab Bowl, 2 conference heroes met. There was a bunch of teams that were 5-7. Actually, it's academic progress rating. So like the best academically, goes off like your academic like school rating, like your test scores, grades and all that stuff, and that determines who makes it. 5-7 teams. But then there's a bunch of 5-7 teams that declined one bids as well. And Georgia, and then they finally got called. They wanted to find any team that could play them eventually. Georgia Southern knew who it was, and knew who it was. The last spot, you just wanted to find a team eventually. It was 5-7. Fill some of the spots, and they did. 29-10 Georgia Southern defeated their conference rival Appalachian State. They played it earlier this season as well. And in rematch, Georgia Southern gets the win 28-10 in the Birmingham Bowl, sponsored by J-Lab. And then the novel was sponsored by Bolero. TCU, the Big 12, it's number 60 USC of the Big 10, 30-27-10. Using Conference USA beats Coastal Carolina 23-14 in the principal sponsor of Marine Technologies. And then Music Cigos in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was at the home of the Tennessee Titans. And it was sponsored by Liberty Mutual. Big 10. Beat Tennessee ACC 23-20. And then in the college football platform for the Goodyear Combo Classic. Number 10 Miami beat number 2 SC 24-10. And then Citrus Bowl sponsored by Cheese, Missouri, Texas. The number 18 Michigan. Those are 2 ranked teams, 41-27. And then the number 23 Iowa and number this bowl. They defeated number 14 Vanderbilt to Iowa on the of the Big Ten. Vanderbilt of the SEC 34-27. Number 15 Utah of the Big Ten. Nebraska of the Big Ten. Number 15 Utah beats Nebraska 44-22. Duke of the ACC defeated Arizona State of the ACC champs. They had stunned Virginia in the conference. They won the tiebreakers between a bunch of teams tied for second, and they won the tiebreaker. And they stunned Virginia. You know, otherwise Virginia would have been going to cultural playoff instead of Tulane James Madison. One of them would have gotten snubbed. But nope, Duke won. Stunned them. The conference championship game and won. And they beat Arizona 42-3. And that Rose Bowl. In one day, beating Alabama 3-3. 3-3 for University of Oklahoma, number 3 Georgia. Conference heroes met. Number 5 Oregon. Number 4 Texas Tech 23-0 shot. Kind of more of a defensive game. Until later in the game. In the third, fourth quarter. More offense, but a ton more. And then January 2nd, final bowl games of the year. Now Wake Forest 43-20 over Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a 5-17 that opted in the bowl. We have opt-outs from a couple teams and some other 5-7 opt-outs. Wake Forest won 43-20 over Mississippi State. And then in the Trust Holiday Bowl, SMU they defeated number 17 Arizona, only 4-18. And that Snapdragon team. Well, the San Diego State Aztecs. And then for the San Diego State Aztecs use that team. And then it's also used by the San Diego Wave. NWSL soccer team as well. And SMU won 24-19. And then Texas State dominates. Texas SMU is out Big 12. No, or ACC now. Arizona University, Arizona, the Pac-12 is in pretty much. It's a new Pac-12 rebuilt conference. With 9 teams, 8 football playing schools, 9 numbers in all other sports because Gonzaga joined for other sports, not football. They didn't have a football program. Probably never will. Not really football school. SMU wins 24 tonight. SMU though they were in the American. They joined the big SEC. They took they didn't care no money basically from the conference. They gave some the offer they couldn't refuse to join their conference. And then Wake Forest LAC defeated Mississippi State LACC. And then Texas State was out of the Sun Belt, Rice of the American. Texas State. And 41-10 over Rice. Dominates in the Armed Forces Bowl. Responsible for lucky win. And the Liberty Bowl. Hosted by Memphis. It was sponsored by Ozone. Navy won. Navy of the American. Defeated Cincinnati out of the Big 12. 35-13. Cincinnati wasn't the American, but then he decided to join the Big 12. And there was a conference. Shahan went on. And was smart.